2010, you were drinking stramonium, and then in September we switched to pulsatilla.
Yeah.
But I don't want to make the transition now. You finish the story.
No, that's okay. It helped me. I think, and I remember during that time, it was when I was still taking stramonium, that my mom had been diagnosed with bipolar, regular old-fashioned manic depressive bipolar, and then. So I'd studied a little bit on that, and knowing that, and then I read something on bipolar 2, which is where you have longer periods of depression, and then you'll have the high manic states, and that fit me to a T. That because I had the long periods of depression, but then I would feel really, really good, but it wasn't. If people around me would get a little bit nervous, because that's when I would kind of go off the hinges and go party and just have the best time and be the life of the party, and at those times, people would be drawn to me. And, everybody just thought that we were all having a great time, and I could work a room. So I liked those time periods, but there was always the payoff in the end of being really depressed. And then, of course, nobody wanted to be around me because I was just in the doldrums and gloomy. And the up periods only, they only last for about a day or something. I feel really good. And then you mentioned that there was a natural lithium out there.
Yeah, natural lithium. Yeah.
Then I got on the.
It was some form of gamidin. It was gamidin lithium. Yeah.
And I actually did have my lithium levels checked even after I was on that, and it did come back really low. Yeah,
and I. Well, how did it happen? I referred you to a psychiatrist to consider putting you on pharmaceutical lithium, and you actually did.
Yeah, they put me on the pharmaceutical. I was going to bring it. I forgot to bring it because I still have the bottle. I took almost the whole bottle of it.
The pharmaceutical.
But the doctor that I went to, when I showed her my lithium level, she said, "What do you want me to do with this?" And I said, "That's up to you." Yeah. And so she says, "Well, I'm going to start you on some pediatric form of the lithium," and I was taking it for about a month, and I think I called you or I emailed you, and I said, "This isn't working.
Yeah, it wasn't.
This is not."
And you had already been trying the gamidin, the natural form of lithium.
Yeah, and what that did was it brought me to, I think is what it gave me a bottom floor.
You mean the natural lithium?
Yeah, the natural lithium brought me to ground floor where, like, even if I felt bad, I wasn't going to go down into the really depressive state where I couldn't get out of bed. That was what was happening before, was I couldn't go to work, I couldn't get out of bed. I was having a hard time taking care of myself. I just let myself just totally go, didn't care. And but this brought me to a normal kind of level where even if I had a bad day, I could go to work. And I could deal with the stress, and I could get through it without completely blowing up or breaking things, or having that wild banshee yelling. And so then that was when I went to the other doctor, and she gave me the pharmaceutical lithium. After a month, I emailed you and I said, something's not right. I feel really wrong. I'm really depressed. The suicidal thoughts would come back. Like when I was driving, it'd be really random, like just, go off the side of the road.
Oh, no.
And that was when I was like, I think I need some more help. And so I said, forget this. I just decided I'm not going to go on that. And I got back on the gamidin lithium, the natural lithium, and it helped. And I'm still on it. I still take it. I take one every day. And I've gone a few days without, and I can tell a difference when I'm not on it. So I want to stay on it. But then in the meantime, you were still giving me stramonium. Yeah. And so around, what was that, last year, I would take the stramonium and have the crazy thoughts.
Yes, at some point, stramonium stopped working, and in fact, it was starting to feel like it was, you were feeling worse.
It would make me feel worse. And it really became clear. I had a really bad flu one time, and I had 2 doses of the stramonium with me, and I remember that. This was what really told me that I wasn't stramonium anymore. So I took one of them, and I misread what was on the piece of paper, and I thought I was supposed to take another one within a couple of hours or something. And then Janet told you. So I took the other dose of it.
Within like 24 hours.
Yeah, and within like 2 hours, I was calling my sister, going, something's not right.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. But I couldn't stop crying.
Yeah.
And just going, I want to end it all. Something's not right. And but I recognized those symptoms as the symptoms that I had before I got on the stramonium. And it felt the same way. It was this deep hole in my chest.
There we go.
Like the gaping
Yeah.
pit of despair in my chest had reopened. And I think she said, take some coffee.
To antidote it, yeah.
Yeah. And I did. And it helped within probably a couple hours. And I think after that, I just kind of chalked it up to, it was because I took too much. But then as months went on, I think I took maybe 1 or 2 more doses, and kind of the same thing would happen where I'd start going down instead of going up. And but I recognized that as being what the symptoms that it's supposed to
the very symptoms
help.
it's supposed to treat were being created in you because you are no longer a stramonium.
Yeah, and I remembered looking at the charts that you had that said that maybe one day I would come up out of this. And at that time too, like my attitude was starting to change, and I was able to. The really big thing was I was able to have conversations with my husband without arguing, without flying off the handle. Yeah, there's the.
Yeah, this chart. You want to hold it? Do you mind?
Sure.
If you hold it, I'll focus on it. So that's from the same book, Dr. Herskew's stramonium.
We started there.
Yeah, we started. You were stramonium right there, which is a phase 3 remedy. And I think when I met you, I hypothesized that someday you go into phase 1, hopefully. And did I say you were going to be pulsatilla?
You said either phosphorus or pulsatilla, but I think you thought pulsatilla.
Okay.
But we weren't quite sure.
So it took about roughly 3 years? To be exact, March of 2007 to
and there was the underlying
September of 2010, which is when you took pulsatilla for the first time.
Yeah, and I think that there was the underlying factor of the lithium, which it did really help.
Oh, sure.
But I did definitely change remedies. In my whole outlook, my whole personality, you can ask anybody, it's changed. It's
we don't have any fears of death and dying anymore.
Not really, no.
You don't have the violence.
No, I'm not focused on that. It's not like my whole life is trying to avoid death or hell.
Yeah.
The abyss of nothingness, which was the great fear that I had of I'm alone, I'm not connected to anybody, and I'm going to die that way, and then I'm going to just be alone, and or in nothingness, always running from like the big nothing, and where I'm at now, and I made a real effort in my marriage, but I couldn't do it before. I couldn't have the conversations before because something would set me off. I'd get hot, I'd get flushed, and then I would scream. And now I can.
Right.
I can have a conversation, and even if I get upset, I can control it. Even if I get upset or he says something that I totally disagree with, I can be patient, I can listen and wait and then respond without just that terror of response blowing out of me. Sure. And
that you used to have violent overreactions.
Absolutely.
You don't have that anymore.
No.
It's like more of an average kind of a person getting upset.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and like throwing stuff. I think I read somewhere about like actually, I don't know if this was pulsatilla or stramonium, but you might throw things not wanting to hurt somebody, but to express that. And I never wanted to hurt anybody else, but it's like I had so much inside of me, and then it would just come out in a violent outburst. And because most people thought that I was a very nice, kind person, and then my husband would. He saw the other side of me, and my family saw the other side too. So he would call them and be like, "Have you ever seen her like this?" And they'd talk him through it and say it's okay. She needs a hug.
Did you like hugs when you were in a stramonium state? Because that's a very pulsatilla characteristic.
Yeah, I think what had happened was I didn't. But I think that it was because I had gone so much to the other side of don't touch me, don't. I didn't want to be touched, and I don't know if it was because I felt like injury in that way or the fear of being rejected all over again. It was very hard for me to get close to people because I did have that fear of rejection, and I kept acting that out in my life too. Like with the people that I would date, they would end up just rejecting me, and then I would go right back into that state
Yeah.
of just total depression once that happened.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like my first major episode of depression was after breaking up with my first boyfriend. It was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had eating disorder after that for a little while because I just couldn't, I just didn't care about myself. I figured I wasn't worth anything. And so then being in this marriage that was very volatile would send me back into there.
Sure.
And now things are, we work through things are peaceful, and even when they're bad, even when things are really bad, I can self-soothe much better. I can go away by myself and know that everything's okay, that it's not me, that's, I can see it much more objectively, that it's not me who has the problem. Like, I can see it if it's him having the problem. It could have been in the past that he was being completely unreasonable, and I would think that it was me, and that's just because I'm a broken person, something's wrong with me. But I don't have those great big extremes. And I haven't had an outburst. That's been the biggest difference, I think, is I haven't had one of those outbursts of anger. It's been about a year. Since I think I went to that pulsatilla stage. Yes, I remember I came in one day and I said, I don't think I'm stramonium anymore.
You actually came in saying, I think I'm pulsatilla.
Yeah.
Remember?
I think I'm pulsatilla.
Then you had watched what was it, George Witoka's video? Online.
Yeah, when he mentioned it as being, I always thought of myself as being kind of earthy. And it was like a flower in the wind, because I am very go either way. I'm really not a strong-willed kind of a person, because I want to get along with everybody. And I mean, I have opinions and I'll let you know them, but if you might be right, then I will totally listen, and I want to be right too. So I will yield. Easily yielding, I think is the way that he described it. And he said like a flower kind of in the wind, one way or another. And I was like, I feel that. I love working out in the garden and being with the dirt. I love the flowers, and that really spoke to me too. And